Hi everybody, it's Rosie here from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator working in the UK. So here I am today with another new product. So this is Celebrate Sunflowers. Really nice cling stamp set. This is huge. It's almost 4 inches wide, this stamp. A couple of really nice sentiments and some leaves. And this is part of a bundle, so these are the sunflower dies that coordinate with the set. I'm going to use this die as well today. So we've got a die that will cut out the whole image. We've got this lovely outline image that's going to be so lovely to use. Some leaves that cut out the stamped images, and you can actually build up a die cut sunflower with this set as well, rather than just stamping it. Lots of different ways to use this. There's lots of really nice samples in the catalogue which I can't show you. If you want a new catalogue, you need to email me and let me know so you can get your hands on that. It doesn't go live till the 3rd of June, but this is your sneak peek at some products. Okay, so I'm going to leave that out because we're going to be using it in a bit. I should say that this is actually one bundle that is in a much larger suite called Flowers for Every Season. So there's another bundle that complements this and some fantastic 6x60s on a series paper, really pretty. And then yesterday I featured Forever Greenery, so there's elements in that because of the foliage and everything that will also tie in quite nicely with these products. Now, as I say, that sunflower image is really quite large, so I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus tool. Sorry, the light is bouncing off the top of that. This is a stamp positioning tool. It is about 8 inches wide, I think. Yeah, it's 8 inches square. Piece of equipment. Comes with a wipe clean base and a plain black foam insert, and 2 of these clear, I think they call them plates, which just, if you pull it to 90 degrees, will just come out of the hinge if you want it to. So that in itself is a technique, because you can stamp and then move the plate along a bit and stamp again to get a repeated image. It comes with 2. They can't both fit on the Stamparatus tool stored away, so I keep mine separate out of the way until such time as I need it. So the foam is there to use with photopolymer stamps, because they don't have the foam on the back of the stamp themselves. It's got the foam provided. I actually invested in the deluxe mat, so this is foam, actually has a wipeable surface on it. So this is the deluxe mat, which is available separately. So the tool itself also comes with 2 magnets. These magnets are super duper strong, and they store underneath. There's some little divots at the bottom for them to store away. So these have been wrapped with a bit of washi tape with a little bit of a lip on them. If they snap together, it's difficult to get them apart again, so those just help with that. I tend to only work with one at a time, simply because I don't trust myself to. But I mean, it's just insanely strong, that magnet. Insane. Pulling that and it's not coming away. So foam has been taken out, and I've already positioned the stamp on that plate. I'm going to be using my Stampin' Blend markers to colour in the image today. There are lots of different ways we could use this, but I've decided I'm gonna do some blending. So a lot of the time you will see outline images stamped with black ink. I don't really want a really harsh line on the petals, so I'm going to give it a whirl by stamping the outline in crumb cake, which will be really nice and light. It'll add hopefully a little bit of depth to the edge of the petals without giving a really hard line. So I'm just going to apply some ink to the stamp. Lots of detail in this, so you want to make sure it's good and covered. Because the classic stamping pads are water based, they're perfectly fine to use with alcohol markers. So just giving that a firm press to transfer the ink, and that's come across. So that's actually a little darker than I thought it would be, but that's okay. We could have used Sahara sand, I guess, for a softer colour, but I definitely didn't want it to be black, so that's fine. The other real advantage of using the Stamparatus tool, especially with a large image where you might miss some detail with your ink, because the paper has been held in place and the stamp hasn't moved on the plate or anything, it's all in exactly the same position. You can actually repeat stamp this all the time without shifting and getting like a ghost image. So you can do that, and it also means that you can do multiple cards at the same time. Okay, so let's remove that from the tool if the magnet will come away. Slip that to one side and I'll clean my stamp off shortly. I'm just going to bring in some scraps to work on. The alcohol inks will soak through. Alright, I've pulled out Mango Melody. So they come in, you can get combo packs, so in the new catalogue they'll only be available in combo packs. Mango Melody, Dark Light. I've also got Saffron, yep, Dark and Light, and I've got Soft Suede for the centre. Okay, we'll work the petals first. So you can probably appreciate that there are petals that sit at the front and petals that sit behind. So the Mango Melody I was going to use more for the leaves, the petals that are more in shadow. So we're going to go over, we'll use the light one first. I always go with the light colour first, and I'm going to apply some colour to some of those petals at the back. Don't want to go too mad. See, that one would be in shadow as well there. That's what that be, a bit of there, maybe a bit here. Then with the dark marker, I'm going to go into those bits where it overlaps, where there would be some natural shadow. Yeah. Okay, so there's definitely gradient in colour there. I haven't even coloured right to the edge on there really, because sunflowers aren't always, they sometimes do have these really pale petals too. So just come around, do these ones around the side, similar thing, over the majority of it with the light marker and adding the darker colour where those creases would fall. I'm just going to continue round. The reason I'm only colouring portions at a time is because to get the ink to blend you want it to be wet, and alcohol markers will dry quite fast, especially on a warm day like today. If you're working in a warm room, they'll go even faster. So that's my tip there, just work in smaller sections. You can see, I mean, I'm not putting a great deal of thought into where this ink is going. Okay, so I think we've got one there that possibly needs to be a little darker, so I might just go over that in the dark marker there. We've got one that's sort of almost completely hidden there and there. Let's just use the dark marker on that bit there. Okay, so all of these ones look like they're firmly on the front. This one is sort of half underneath, so I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow behind that one and maybe under here. It's funny how you see things when you're not really looking. There we go. So I've added that dark marker, but instead of going back in with the Mango Melody, I think I'm going to switch it up and we'll go back over those ones with the dark. So saffron, so they look a little different to the ones behind. Again, not being super careful. Okay, nice. And now these ones at the front, I'm just going to add a little bit of the dark colour towards the base of each petal, running along the artist has put some indications of where those shadows might fall in the drawing, and we'll add those in. Again, not too worried if there's little white spots anywhere. I'll just add to the variation in the leaves. If you think it's a little light, which some of them are a little light, you can, if you layer the colour over a couple of times, the colour will intensify. Back in with a bit more of this dark colour. You do sometimes find that when you add your light colour, it almost washes out any darker shades that you've put in already. Make sure the lids are tight on your marker. So there we go, so you've got some variation in the yellow. Didn't really want it to be all the same. Some light and dark bits, and you can see it does soak through, hence working on the scrap there. So again, with the soft suede, I'm just going to go over this. Might be a little dark, to be fair. I'll be right. Not being very careful with it at all. I'm going to add some speckles with the dark. Again, really random, they aren't going anywhere in particular. Just using the lines in the artwork to give me a steer on that. Then I'm going to go over the whole thing with the light marker again, which will just diffuse that whole thing out. You'll see that there's a little line where the ink's still wet, but that will dry back and will be less visible once everything's dry. Brill. Okay, so as I say, we're going to die cut this. So I've just got this. It's always interesting when you've not used a die before. Now I'm thinking positioning dies over these images. There's this curved petal there, and I think that goes there. Yeah, it does. No. Yes. Yes. No. There we go. So just some low tack washi tape just there, and we're going to run that through. It's completely optional, of course. I mean, there's nothing. Oh, that's just come away on the thing. It's so low tack it hasn't stayed in place when I've moved it across. If you don't have a die cut machine, of course, and you don't want to die cut, you could have quite easily stamped that and fussy cut. It probably wouldn't have taken too long to do. It's not a terribly complicated outline, so because this is all there, barely any stick to it, it's come away really nicely, and that's die cut beautifully. I love dies almost as much as I love dimensionals. Ooh, I might need that scrap. I'm just going to keep that to hand just in case I need it. So that can go away now. So I'm going to keep this all about the sunflower. I just want this to be the focal point. See how large it is. Oh, it's probably more like, how large is that? Let's put it on here. It's probably 3 1/4 inches wide. I was exaggerating slightly, it wasn't quite 4. It's still big. I mean, that's just amazing, isn't it? I mean, you could just put it in the middle if you wanted, but I thought it might be nice up to one. Well, I do want it in the middle, I don't know. No, I'm going to put it over here, just for something else. So one of the sentiments in the stamp was "thanks a bunch," which I imagined was going to go across. Camera's in tighter, so you could see the colouring a little bit better. So I was thinking the sentiment would go across here, and I was planning on doing it in the dark ink and possibly just stamping over it. But I think we are going to have to use a strip of cardstock, I think, to do that. It's fine. So this boy's going to go on to the card straight as it is. Plenty of adhesive on there, so I just want it hanging off slightly. And then I'm going to trim away this bit. Now, a right-handed person would tell you to flip it over and cut away the excess. I do find if you've got left-handed scissors, that would probably work. I don't use left-handed scissors, I use regular scissors, so I find that cutting from the back actually quite difficult. I find it easier to cut from the front and just let the blade find the way across the edge of the card. So that's that done. So it's going to be a very, very simple card. I just wanted to show you the stamp set. So like I say, I'm going to bring in this, and I've got the stamp already mounted on a block. This is the H block. It's probably the block I use the most because it's for sentiments. If you're thinking about joining and want to build a starter kit, the two blocks I would recommend are the H block, which is this one, and the D block, which is this shape. It's not quite a square, but between these two you can probably use most of the stamps. So that would be my recommendation if you're thinking about that. You can get a bundle of the blocks, and you can purchase a case for them all to go in as well, which is really, really nice. But like I say, if you're thinking about prioritising which ones, H and D would be the ones that I would go for. There we go, thanks a bunch. I'd already straightened it up on the mat and things like that, so I'm going to bring in my trimmer. It's off to the side. And going to line this up so you can see where the cutting track is there, so it's going to be something like that, and you'll be able to see through the gap. It's very hard to see on the camera, but in real life you'll be able to see that there's the gap where your blade runs along the trimmer. So I'm just going to make sure that that's not going to chop off any of the top of my letters. Actually, how much gap have I got underneath there? Yeah. So I'm going to try and guesstimate getting the top border and the bottom border reasonably the same. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it round and trim that. You can't see that, can you? Let's move it that way. The light flare look. So just lined it up so it's about the distance I want it away from the cutting track, just to trim off the end there. I'm not going to trim the other end because I don't know exactly how long I want it yet. I told you this was going to be a super simple card, and I just want that to run across there. Really, really simple, lots of white space, love it. I have smudged my ink slightly, so please let it dry before you faff about with it too much. It does dry quite quickly, but I was trying to be quick. So you'll never cut anything straight, so don't try, so cut it at an angle. And then almost flat. A couple of dimensionals. To lift that up from the background. Try and get it straight. Just using that line on the grid paper as a guide. There we go. Something very, very sweet and simple, just to show you the stamp set, but you can really go to town with this. Some really beautiful samples in the catalogue for you to have a look at as well. So I hope you liked that, and if you drop by again soon, we'll have some other ideas of what we can do with the set. Use some different colouring mediums, layer it up, that kind of thing. But for now, I'm going to leave you with that. Links to my online shop will be down in the description bar, but like I say, these products won't be available till the 3rd of June for you to order. But you know, hop along, see if there's anything else that takes your fancy. I'll also have a blog post just describing the card and everything, so there'll be a link to that there. Again, if you want a catalogue, do let me know. But for now, have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.